The diplomatic chamber aboard the Zephyrian flagship Eternal Vigilance fell into absolute silence. Ambassador Chen Wei's question hung in the recycled air like a weapon nobody had expected him to draw. Around the oval table, 6 different species, each representing galactic powers that had dominated space for millennia, stared at the lone human representative. Commander Vextar of the Hegemony was the first to break the silence, his chitinous mandibles clicking nervously. Windows? On starships? Human, surely you jest? Chen's weathered face remained impassive. He'd been chosen for this first contact mission not just for his diplomatic skills, but for his 40 years commanding Earth's deep space vessels. The scars on his hands told stories of hull breaches, engine failures, and the 1,000 small catastrophes that made spaceflight the dangerous dance it was. "I'm quite serious," Chen replied, leaning back in his chair. "Every human ship, from our smallest shuttles to our largest dreadnoughts, has windows, viewports, direct visual contact with space." The aquatic representative, Tide Singer More Depth, spoke through her translation device, the words emerging as musical tones. "This is unprecedented. No spacefaring species designs vessels with structural weaknesses for the sake of... what? Aesthetics? Morale," Chen said simply. The reptilian Sector Empire's delegate, High Commander Skal, leaned forward on his 6 arms. "Morale? Explain this concept in relation to ship design." Chen stood and walked to the chamber's main display, which currently showed a tactical overview of the assembled fleets. 200 ships from 6 different species hung in perfect formation around humanity's modest fleet of 12 vessels. To anyone else, it would have looked like overwhelming odds. "May I show you something?" Chen asked. Admiral Krenos of the Stellar Union, whose people had been among the first to achieve faster-than-light travel, gestured permission with one of her 4 arms. Chen activated his personal communicator. "Captain Morrison, are you receiving this transmission?" "Copy that, Ambassador, we're watching. Pan the camera across the bridge, would you?" The main display shifted to show the interior of the human flagship Indomitable. The bridge was cramped compared to the vast command centers the aliens were accustomed to. But what drew gasps from several representatives was immediately obvious. The entire forward section was transparent aluminum, offering an unobstructed view of the stars beyond. "By the ancient codes," whispered the energy being representative of the Luminari Collective, "they can see everything. That's the point," Chen said. "Watch this. Captain, sound general quarters." Alarms began wailing across the human ship. Within seconds, crew members were streaming to their stations. But what fascinated the alien observers was that not a single human looked at their screens first. They all turned to look out the windows. "You see," Chen continued, "when a human is in space, they need to know where they are in relation to everything else. Not just intellectually through sensors and displays, but viscerally. We need to see the enemy coming. We need to watch our wingman's back. We need to know which way is home." Commander Vexitar's compound eyes glittered. "But the structural integrity is compensated for in other ways," Chen interrupted. "Yes, windows are a weak point, so we engineer around them. Backup systems, emergency protocols, redundant hull plating. We accept the risk because the benefit is worth it." "What benefit?" Skal demanded. "What possible advantage could this provide in combat?" Chen smiled, and for the first time since the meeting began, it wasn't entirely diplomatic. "Captain Morrison, are you still there?" "Still here, sir." "Tell them about the Battle of Proxima Station." The captain's voice carried clearly through the chamber. 3 weeks ago, our patrol encountered a Void Reaper hive ship. Massive thing, 10 times our displacement. It disabled our sensors, jammed our communications, knocked out our targeting systems. By all tactical doctrine, we should have been destroyed. The aliens listened with growing interest. Void Reapers were a scourge that had been plaguing the Outer Rim for decades. Automated war machines left over from some ancient conflict. But my gunner, Rodriguez, he was looking out his viewport when the thing launched its spread of hunter-killers. Saw them coming with his own eyes, marked their trajectory, and calculated an intercept course in his head. No computers, no sensors, just human intuition and spatial awareness. We managed to take out the hive ship with a spread of torpedoes, guided entirely by visual reference. The chamber fell silent again. Tidesinger Moredepth spoke first. Your species has been in space for less than a century. We have been among the stars for 3,000 years. How is it that you see solutions we have never considered? Chen returned to his seat. Because you've forgotten what it means to be afraid. You've built ships like fortresses, command centers like bunkers. You've put layers of metal and force fields between yourselves and the universe because you can afford to. But humans? We're still new to this. We're still scared. And fear makes us want to see what's coming. High Commander Skull's reptilian features showed what might have been confusion. You design your ships around fear? We design our ships around honesty, Chen corrected. Space is dangerous. It wants to kill us in 1,000 different ways. So we don't hide from it, we stare it in the face. When something goes wrong, we want to see it happening. When we're fighting for our lives, we want to look our enemy in the eye. When we're dying, we want to see the stars. The human ambassador stood again, this time moving to the chamber's own viewport, a rare feature that the Zephyrians had included more for ceremony than function. Your ships are marvels of engineering, he continued, looking out at the assembled. Fleets. Faster than ours, stronger than ours, armed with weapons we can barely comprehend, but they're also tombs. Beautiful, efficient tombs where your crews live in artificial environments, trusting their sensors and their computers to tell them what's real. He turned back to face the assembled delegates. Humans learned long ago that sometimes the most important information doesn't come through official channels. Sometimes survival depends on a crew member looking out a window and saying, "That doesn't look right." Sometimes the difference between victory and defeat is one person who refuses to take their eyes off the horizon. Commander Vexitar's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. And you believe this philosophy gives you an advantage in combat? Chen's smile returned, sharper this time. Commander, how many ships have you lost to Void Reapers this year? The hegemony. Representative's compound eyes dimmed. 47 vessels, nearly 3,000 crew. The Stellar Union? Admiral Krenos spoke reluctantly. 61 ships. Our casualties number in the thousands. Chen nodded to each representative in turn, collecting their grim statistics. When he was finished, he clasped his hands behind his back. Humanity has lost 3 ships to Void Reapers in the past year. All hands rescued. Because when death comes calling, we want to see it coming. We want to look it in the eye. And we want to make sure it knows we're not going quietly into that dark night. The room was still again, but this time the silence carried a different weight. Outside the viewport, the human fleet hung in space like a constellation of defiance. 12 small ships with transparent forward sections that gleamed like eyes in the starlight. Finally, Tidesinger Moredepth spoke, her musical tones carrying a note of something that might have been respect. Perhaps it is time we reconsidered our ship designs. Chen nodded diplomatically. Perhaps it is. After all, the universe is a beautiful place. It seems a shame to miss it.